Welcome to another episode of
In Response.
A legacy podcast.
I'm Philipp Klein
I'm Daniel.
And I'm Peter Plank.
and we're talking about legacy. So today we had some difficulties because we're trying to record, I think for now 2.5 hours and we're
Yeah.
just talking about everything in German and we're pumping out all the sick jokes all the time and we simply can't record it.
Since we are not rated R, we can't not talk about the jokes. I would say.
And another problem we have is we consumed at least 2 bottles of wine, so everything will be loud if you know it in German.
Yodel.
So speech difficulties could happen.
Yeah.
So we apologize for this. Today we had a special topic for you guys because we're introducing our 2 co-hosts, Daniel and Peter. So yeah, let's start.
Should we just start? Yeah.
So Daniel,
Yeah.
tell us something about you. Tell us something about you and your magic career and how did you get started and
So first of all, my nickname is Flying Delver. Most of you maybe or should know me through my nickname. I am mostly known for my, let's say, work or interest in modern specific topics actually. So this is quite weird for me to do a, let's say, a legacy driven topic now, but I'm interested in legacy for quite some time, and that's the reason why I'm doing that right now. What can I say about myself? I did start magic in primary school, I think. I think this is the correct term, right?
It should be
How-
primary school. No,
how is it called?
in Volksschule. Primary school.
Primary school, yeah.
Yeah.
That's- or elemental grade.
Element.
Maybe it's elemental, yeah. However you guys would name it, it's basically the first real type of school we have here in Austria. And I can remember buying a booster pack back then. I don't know which, let's say, magic set it was. But what I did remember, maybe you guys can help me out. The card what I pulled out of the booster, out of the booster.
Like we said,
Wine
2 bottles of
difficulties.
wine, speech difficulties could happen.
What I got was a card named Bad Moon. This is the enchantment for 1 black and a generic mana, and it gives all your black creatures +1/+1. Which set was it actually? I can't remember. Maybe we have to look
That's
it up.
a Bad Moon is a very old card.
Yeah.
I think you because you said you pulled it from the booster.
Yeah.
Could it be possible that it was time spiral, time shifted
That,
with the purple
Could be possible.
edition symbol?
I think it. No, it was not Time Sparrow because Time Sparrow was in. Was later.
Time Sparrow was later.
Yeah. I was, I think, 12 years old or so when Time Sparrow came out, and this was definitely in primary school.
So maybe 5th or 4th edition.
I think it was 4th edition. Yeah.
Wow! So you
Okay, the artwork is.
So you bought such an old booster, okay?
Yeah. I
For
really
your
think-
first one, so
Yeah.
not something from the
the recent sets.
recent set, or
And it is very interesting for me. I clearly can remember this specific card in my hands, let's say, even though the card is not really good at all. I think I just had the impression that the card is so broken and so good. I was maybe so impressed by the artwork, I don't know, and even the artwork is not that special actually.
I mean, I really like the artwork. I have to say.
Yeah, I think it's a cool artwork, right?
It's really cool.
Yeah, we're looking at it from the laptop.
Yeah.
To our listeners, we're looking at the laptop to the 4th edition artwork
I think
of Bad Moon.
Is there another artwork?
No, I think the artwork. Oh yeah.
There's artwork.
The 5th edition. This is the one I had.
No, I had the fourth edition one. Yeah, definitely.
This
was
one is
the one.
Yeah, it's like the traditional.
I mean, I heard of Black Lotus and something like that at the time. Maybe I kind of had let's say, some kind of a connection between Black Lotus, which is a black card, and Bad Moon, which is a black card. Maybe I thought of some kind of connection there, and I simply had the impression that this card must be worth a lot of money in my mind, but of course it wasn't. Yeah, this was the first, let's say, moments with Magic. I didn't really play at the time. I just collected some cards, and I traded some cards with some colleagues from my school at the time. And the first real decks I bought was during Kamigawa, I would say. But I didn't really play at a competitive level. I just bought some pre-constructed decks, or I don't know if you guys can remember these tournament packs. They had
75 cards.
75 cards.
And I think 5 rares or 3
Three
rares.
rares.
It was basically one big pack of, let's say, 5 boosters or something.
No,
like
it was
that.
actually 75 cards.
It was 75 cards, but
it was just a bigger booster.
It
Just
was
a bigger booster, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
With a lot of basics in there.
Yeah,
that
back
can
then
build.
you because it was a tournament pack, you got it, and then for sealed.
Yeah.
And then you built your deck out of that.
So you played sealed with
the tournament packs. Yeah.
Okay, I haven't known that.
It's
Okay.
not like now where you get 6 boosters for sealed. So you just got the tournament pack, and that was it.
Okay, that's nice.
That's not what we did. We just bought them and we tried to build some decks around the cards we got, I think. Because
Like the deck builder's toolkit now.
we had no idea about the formats of Magic at all. We just had one format which we would call now casual, of course.
Kitchen table.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We would just collect some cards and play, and we had the weirdest rules in school. We mentioned, or I can remember in one of our previous episodes.
In episode 1, I think.
Yeah, we talked about the rule which we called Storm. I think you can remember that, where you could. I think it was the rule where you could play all your lands in your hand during
During
one
your turn, yeah.
And if you had no cards in hand, you can draw 7 fresh new cards, and crazy stuff like that.
The funny thing is, if you have such extreme homebrew rules, but with such extremely underpowered decks, the difference is negligible.
Yeah, it was still quite a bit of fun.
Yeah.
All the time, because nobody had crazy combo decks, let's say, which really
Or just
cheated up, man.
effective good cards.
Yeah.
When you play 4 lands and turn 1 and then simply stare at your 7 drop and can't do anything for 3 turns.
Do you remember the card Rocks?
Rocks.
This
The
was
green.
the green big fatty which you can regenerate.
Yeah, I don't
For
know
1
the
green mana.
stats actually. The power and
I
toughness.
don't know, 5/4 or something like that. Let's
For
look it up.
6
I think
5, 6.
this one was
in the starter deck,
in the
and
starter
it was
deck.
always foil.
Could be.
Let's look it up. But the point is, the point is, Rocks was for all of us the biggest nightmare because we simply could not deal with this card because of the
this
regenerate
deck.
clause.
Okay.
And he had the super trample like the Thorn element.
Yeah.
And also this
Was the greatest bomb, and we had no idea how to beat the card because you can regenerate it, you can attack with super trample. Basically, it is amazing.
And back then we also thought regenerate worked from the graveyard.
Really?
At least in our playgroup, we
How?
played that regenerate. If you regenerate a creature, then you put it from your graveyard into the battle.
Wow.
Okay, regenerate was broken.
Oh yeah, but that's because back in the day I had a sliver deck, and I played the Crypt Sliver, which has all slivers have tap regenerate target sliver.
That's crazy. Okay, no, that's not what we did. If I remember correctly, let's say. But yeah, so back then at the time I didn't really know anything about rules of Magic, or I didn't have any intentions of playing competitively. That was only due to my study, I would say. During my study, I rediscovered Magic, and this was, I think it was around 2014 or 15. It was right when Khans of Tarkir came out. I might have to look it up, but I think it was 2014 or 15. That's when a colleague of mine and I got back into Magic because we talked about what we did in our childhood, and we talked about that we both played Magic, and we heard about a Magic shop being present in Linz, our hometown basically, or let's say our town where we studied. And we visited the store, we bought some pre-constructed decks, or let's say some budget modern brews, it was back then. We researched some modern decks that you can buy for under 10 euros or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
Ultra budget.
Ultra budget. It's even more budget than Seth's budget series.
Definitely. One of my first deck was something like the mono white soldier deck or something like that. And but I can remember one deck exactly, which was it was in our let's say group, in our play group, completely broken. It was a deck with I think the card is called Architect of Thought, where you can tap one blue card or one blue creature to generate
2 mana.
2 generic mana.
Yeah.
And with that card you can cast a Worm Call Engine on turn 3.
Okay,
Actually,
cool.
and this is amazing. It was
The cards from Scars. It's
yeah,
isn't
exactly.
it
Yeah.
Master Artificer.
No, that's a different card. I think it's really Architect of Thought
Or Grand Architect.
or Grand Architect.
Grand Architect.
Yeah, it's the one that
With
combos with
Philipp Klein, yeah.
Yeah, that's the combo you this was basically the best casual
Grand Architect.
Grand
yeah.
Architect. Yeah, okay.
For those who
Chase Architect of Artist.
I mixed those two up.
for those who don't know the card, it's Grand Architect. It's 1 and 2 blue. Mm-hmm. It's a creature without an artificer. Mm-hmm. The text says it's a 1/3, and the text says other blue creatures you control get +1/+1, and for in a blue, target artifact creature becomes blue until end of turn. Mm-hmm. And tap an untapped blue creature you control. Add 2 colorless to your mana pool. Spend this mana only to cast artifact spells or activate the abilities of artifacts.
And with that deck, you could play a turn 3 Worm Call Engine. This was basically a combo. Let's say.
should be enough in casual area.
In casual, this was amazing, yeah. But I don't know. I was very interested in Magic and competitive Magic. That I researched further, and I got more and more into competitive play or competitive decks at the time. And I didn't really know anything about power level or I really,
Card advantage.
Yeah. I didn't really have a feeling for what cards are broken and what not. And the first deck that I researched was in Modern, Blue-Red Delver with Treasure Cruise. And you
The
guys are
bane
laughing.
of all formats, Treasure Cruise.
You guys are laughing and I'm laughing now, but I thought, yeah, that's a nice deck that I could build and maybe play for quite some time and maybe get into Modern a little bit more. But as I was stupid basically back then, I didn't really realize that Treasure Cruise is completely broken, of course.
It's just busted.
And I bought a deck. And I think I even bought one Snapcaster Mage at the time. This was incredibly expensive for me because the deck somehow played a singleton of Snapcaster Mage.
How much was it back in the days? I think it was maybe 25 to
Yeah,
30.
25 to 30 euros, something
Yeah.
like that.
Like it's
And
now, I think.
Now it's around 30 to 35. I think.
Oh, so even more expensive. Okay.
Yeah, it really dropped. It was about 60 euros, I think,
Yeah.
before the last reprint in Ultimate Masters.
Definitely, yeah. So this was my first modern deck, or my first competitive deck actually. And of course, 3 weeks later, Treasure Cruise was banned.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, of course, rightfully so, but I was quite a bit pissed actually. Because I just bought into Modern and I thought all my cards would be worthless at the time.
But I think you could play Urdelver anyways.
Yeah, I think the mana base was of course fine. Then the other cards, there are a lot of bulk cards that you would play. Delver is of course not that expensive. Snapcaster Mage still retains some value. It was not that big of a problem. But I was really pissed actually. So I researched some other decks that you can always play in Modern. And then I got into Merfolk somehow.
You and Merfolk. Okay, that's just some weird shit now.
Yeah, that's really weird. Yeah.
For our listeners, Daniel is not the kind of guy you give a Merfolk deck and he plays it. Really, no.
Definitely not. I first encountered playing against Daniel and he was definitely not on Murphy. He was playing Ant.
Yeah. Now, I think you can summarize it that I actually don't like creatures all that much. And,
I mean, Blue-Red Delver played, I think, 12 to 14 creatures in Modern that day.
That's fine.
Yeah,
that's the maximum.
Then you played 28.
Yeah, that's way too much creatures for me. That was amazing.
And then you got back to 18 to 20.
Later on, because Merfolk didn't really
catch on.
Now, I didn't really have that much of a success and fun. I was really surprised by in Modern it was a time where Twin was legal.
Yeah.
Still legal. And I played with my shitty Merfolk deck against Twin. And I couldn't do anything about the combo. I just played, I don't know, Curse Catcher, Silvergate Adept, Lord, and then my opponent, Twin, you're dead. What the fuck? I just played 3 creatures, I wanted to attack you. It's amazing.
But I gotta say, I still think the Twin era was the most fun in Modern.
It was really nice.
I never played Twin, I never really got into Modern. And I just have one Modern deck lying around, and that always had a really good Twin matchup.
Yeah, that's actually also my motivation. What I chose for my next deck. I saw that during the Twin era, And even after the ban, there was quite a bit of a big era for Infect, actually, in Modern. And one big deck that, let's say, was not really the best, but kind of was maybe the second best, or at least in the top 5, was a fair old Junt deck. A good stuff variant that just is based around powerful individual cards. Tamogoev, Lightning Bolt, Abrupt Decay at the time, Liliana of the Whale, and something like that. And that
Was also Death Red Shaman legal?
Oh no, Death Red Shaman was
gone.
banned.
Okay.
Yeah. I only got to play with Death Red Shaman in Legacy.
Okay.
From my experience at least. I wish I had some, let's say, experience with Death Red Shaman in Modern. I think it would be fun. Or it would have been fun. But yeah, I got into Junt, but this was a very slow process, of course, because the deck is incredibly expensive.
I think it was about 2,000 euros or so. Like back
I mean,
in the
this
days.
is just
It's insane.
For
It's
modern
insane,
deck prices,
Yeah,
it's
it's insane.
insane.
But I was just so hooked about the strategy and about the idea that, or at least I was told that Junt basically is always good, and it basically was always good, and
Yeah, and it holds the statements up to date.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think.
But
I mean, it has some up and downs, but it's always at least tier 2.
It's always a good force to reckon.
I think after the what was it? The probe ban in Modern and the printing of Fatal Push, there was quite a bit of downswing for Junt in Modern.
Yeah, because Tamogoev was bad.
Tamogoev was really bad, and probe it weakened Infect, and Junt had always a great matchup against Infect, and Infect prayed against all those big mana and
Stuff like that.
non-inductive decks, let's say, that basically just wanted to play some big heavy things that Junt could not deal with. So Infect was kind of good for Junt. So since Infect was gone, Junt also suffered quite a bit, and also, like you said, Fatal Push did weaken Tamogoev quite a bit. So Junt had really some problems in the last years. But I think right at this time, Junt is definitely not the best deck, but it's definitely playable and a fine deck. Maybe, I don't know, tier 2.
Yeah, you've got Renin 6, yeah.
We've got Renin 6, exactly. Bloodbraid Elf is back.
Yeah, you had Luros for a month.
No, in Modern is Lura still legal.
Yeah, it's still legal, but is it
Yeah, but
played?
the companion rule change.
No.
I think DB is just better than having the option to play Luros.
Yeah, Lura's in the sideboard is just too weak. I recently just experienced it. I played at FNM. I played Junt, but basically just a normal version with Renin 6, with Croxa. Crox is an amazing addition to Junt, actually. Bloodbraid Elf and Liliana, of course, yeah. And I played against some burn decks, which and one of which had Lurus in the sideboard and Baubles in the main deck. But you really could experience, let's say, the nerf of the companion rule. Having to pay 3 mana in order to get Lurus into hand, it just means you are 1 turn slower, and this 1 turn is so important.
Yeah, and they don't get up to 6 mana, so
definitely not.
They can't play it in the same turn, so you have the discard spells.
Yeah,
maybe. I think you play 6 or 8.
You always have it. You always have the discard spells.
In Junt you play 6, basically. Yeah. And for all those years, when it's about Modern, I mostly played Junt. I dipped into other decks as well, just to switch things around. And this all basically culminated in my, let's say, activity in the... I don't know if you know it, because this is not a legacy-driven forum, but it's called MTG Salvation. Maybe you know it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know it. Yeah.
It was not very known for legacy, but
It was a little. I think it was a little bit dead. I had some really nice brews there. I found some really nice brews
really
there,
dead, yeah.
and actually I took all of my inspiration from that forum. I didn't know the source back then. So,
I think, but the salvation was just a smaller the source.
yeah, it was a smaller the source.
For legacy, yeah.
For legacy, yeah.
Okay.
But it was huge for modern.
Yeah, it was huge for modern. Yeah. It has seen the begin as in Salvation. It has seen the beginning of how's it called, the lantern deck.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, lantern control.
Lantern control, yeah.
Basically, yeah.
And it was fun to see where did it come, yeah. And you could see its roots.
Class, yeah.
Back in that forum, yeah.
I don't know. I registered into the forum and I started to be active in the Chan thread, let's say. And I kind of got into the deck. This was all a gradual process. I bought my real physical cards. I made some theory crafting. I was very active in the threads, and then I always was the guy that made some big analysis of tournament data, and I'm very interested in statistics and crunching numbers, basically. That's what I like to do back then, and also concerning Chant, of course. And since the owner of the primer back then of the Chant thread was not very active, he noticed me and then messaged me and asked me if I would want to basically take over the primer, rebuild it, and update it, because the primer was not really up to date at the time. And I accepted, and I think over 1 week or 2 weeks I completely rewritten the Chant primer from all the knowledge that I gathered, published it, and it was I think people really liked it because I tried not to only make, let's say, a pile of texts in the forums, which you often see in different primers, that I don't know, it is not very pleasant to look at a wall of text, and you kind of have to filter all your information out. I wanted to have a little bit of structure in the primer, so that it's easily accessible and readable for all the people visiting the site. And I think people really liked it. I got active in other threads as well, which were Absan in modern, or the Chunk, which you would also call it.
Yeah,
Chunk, yeah.
Or Rock, of course. Then also
Sulte.
Sulte, not really, even to this day not, because Sulte was never really a modern deck. But the big one that
The
I also
Mardu
had
one.
is Mardu.
Yeah, I remember you writing the Pyromancer primer.
Yeah, and also Chan Shadow, or let's say 4 or 5 color Death Shadow.
The Traverse version.
Oh yeah, basically.
Yeah, the Traverse Shadow version. Yeah.
So basically, I think it was over the course of 1 year or so, I had 4 or 5 primers that I wrote for the site. But then I realized or recognized a little bit of a change in, let's say, not really behavior, but what people wanted. Especially Discord was a big thing. And I realized that forums at this time was not really a thing for the future. all those forum-based talk, you have to log into the site. Mobile-friendly use was basically, I don't know.
It was a horror.
Yeah, it was horror. Yeah, even my primers, you could not really view them on your phone, and I got lots of messages saying, "Hey, could you maybe, I don't know, restructure your primers so that I can look at the primer at my phone?" But with the forum-based codes that you had, you simply could not do that. So I had the idea to basically create a whole website for Green Black X, which is the, let's say,
the general archetype.
The general archetype, yeah.
Because everything is mid-range.
Exactly, yeah. Mid-range and modern, which includes Junt, Epson, and Rock mostly. To create a website, gathering all the information, transferring all the information from the forums into the website, and then I would be able to freely customize the website according to what I wanted to present to people, and then I also could deal with the mobile-friendly problem, let's say. Yeah, and that's what I did. And I also created the modern mid-range Discord during that time. And up to this day, I maintain the website. I have to admit that I'm not that active as I was at the beginning, but that's also due to the fact that I'm now more into different formats, for example, Legacy. And yeah, that's basically...
Yeah, your focus shifted.
Yeah, my focus shifted. I'm definitely not away from modern, definitely not. And I'm still happy to maintain my website and also the Discord server. But yeah, that's basically the story where or how I got into where I am today. Maybe I could mention how I got into Legacy.
That would be a good topic.
Yeah.
It would be professional.
I think because my history basically had mostly to do with modern, but yeah, I got into Legacy from a friend of mine, which he just encouraged me to attend Legacy FNMs, which took place right after our modern FNMs at our local game store.
Like it is now also. So basically we have modern Friday Night Magic starting at
4 p.m.
4 p.m. and it's about 4 to 5 rounds. And at 2030 the Legacy FNM starts. So you can have a little bit of a GP feeling with 8 to 9 rounds each Friday.
And back then, when I started Legacy, Bloodbath Elf was not legally modern, and of course also not Death Red Shaman, and I really wanted to play with those cards. But I didn't have the dual lands, and I didn't have growth to the Burn Willows to basically play Punishing Junt, which was basically my Destiny deck to play in Legacy, because I played Junt in Modern, so I basically had to play Junt in Legacy, of course, as well. But I got still into Legacy because in our community people are so nice to lend you cards if you need them, and are very inclusive, and I'm very happy that I basically made the decision to, let's say, dip into Legacy. I have to admit that the community is definitely way, let's say, more inclusive, more, what's the best word to describe it?
I think
better.
I think we have a community.
We have a community,
in Modern, it's more that you have groups of people, groups of friends who
Yeah.
play together, who come together to the Friday Night Magic, and to drive together to big events. But you don't have this. We're all a big modern family feeling.
Yeah.
That's
In
not the
Legacy, you know everybody.
Yeah.
We have a huge WhatsApp group with about, I think it's 55 people or something, and the community bonds are stronger. Yeah.
Way stronger.
And one thing is that you can ask anybody if they have a duel or another expensive piece of cardboard you want to get lent.
Definitely, yeah.
That you can play a deck, and
everybody's happy just to lend you.
everybody's happy to lend you the cards, so you can play all 4 rounds. Nobody has to buy.
I'm very grateful to be part of this community, really, and happy where I'm at right now. At this stage in Legacy and Magic in general. That's basically, let's say, an overview about myself.
We have to have one question left.
Yeah.
From Chino?
From Chino,
Yeah, because
shout outs to Chino at this point.
Hi, Gino.
He asked us what our favorite card of all time is. And I think this is no surprise to anybody. My website is called Greatness at Any Cost. So I think you can guess that my, let's say, favorite card of all time is Dark Confidant, of course.
I got to chime in here. Also, everybody who knows me knows that I'm now very drawn towards. I'm very drawn towards playing Faithless Looting everywhere I can and playing Camel Therapy everywhere I can.
That's true.
And that's true since now I think 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
And so the question isn't as easy as I thought it would be. But my favorite card of all time is also Dark Confidant, because it was the first card that really put the competitive scene on my radar.
Yeah.
So
I think we talked about in the first episode that you played it on the first Grand Prix or something like that.
No, not the first Grand Prix. Because the Grand Prix back in the time was block constructed.
Block constructed. Okay, yeah.
So I played it in the standard environment. But there are stages as a magic player, and where something in your mind just makes click. And one of these moments that I had was with the Dark Confidant, because that's when I learned that life is a resource.
There's a big lesson.
And that's really a big lesson. And when I played with my friends back in the day, they always thought that this card was garbage, and when they played against me, they always joked about how I will kill myself with it. And I just drew all the cards and just smashed them. And so actually, if it wasn't for Dark Confidant, I wouldn't play that competitively. I would have stayed probably at the casual level. So although my focus has shifted to Faithless Looting and Camel Therapy, and my heart really bleeds for Mardu Pyromancer.
Someday it will be.
Someday it will be great.
Yeah. Make it great.
Make Mardu Pyromancer great. And yeah. But my favorite card of all time will always be Dark Confidant.
I definitely agree.
And Peter, how about you?
Yeah, we should talk about you now.
Yeah, but I will answer the question about my favorite card
later.
Okay. Because I think it would make sense to talk about my general introduction to Magic and Legacy.
Yeah. How did you get into Magic? Yeah.
How did I get into Magic? I played casually in primary or elementary school with with a few friends of mine. We are all in the same village. We played together. We had a tricycle of playing card games we played. It was in a span of a year we played, I think, a third of the year we played Magic, a third of the year we played Yu-Gi-Oh, and another third of the year we played Pokemon. Card games.
So you really okay? Now we play for January to April. We play Magic, and then from April to
No, it shifted every year, but
okay. I thought you had.
No. It was there were no rules where we were able to play one card game, but it was just. And this time we played this one, and this time we played this one, and what our general interests in that time period was.
Yeah.
And I first got into Magic with a booster of Kamigawa.
Oh, nice.
My first rare I ever opened was Azusa back in the day.
Oh, Azusa is a good card. Yeah.
And a tournament pack of Mirrodin because there are 75 cards in there, and in a pre-constructed deck there are only 60.
There's a better pack than
Yeah, it's a better pack. I mean, I opened Chromox. So I got really good cards back in the days.
Wow, nice.
But I sold both of them for some casual decks later on. After playing them,
for whole decks, hopefully. Yeah.
after playing them sleeveless.
Back in the days, I never did that.
You never did that?
Never.
We always played sleeveless, and we always played in our decks all equipments because they were broken. Our creatures are bigger and better.
Strong.
But then I got casual decks. I started with some mono blue control decks.
Yeah.
My win condition was Elixir of Immortality. If the opponent resolved a creature, I would lose.
God. So you basically played a toned down turbo fog list.
Without fogs.
Yeah.
I only played
the turbo
counter spells,
not even the turbo
remand,
spec.
dissipate and stuff like that. Opportunity.
Oh god.
Then I got me a mercenary deck. A mono black with Cabal Coffers. And mercenary are just bad rebels.
And rebels aren't even good.
And rebels were only good in one period of time. I think
it was also block constructed.
And block constructed with the old legend rule.
The rough block Mercadian masks.
Mercadian masks, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I only started that deck because I bought me some cards online. Maybe I played vampires in between. Red black vampires. I also played in the time, and we always bought in a German online store. I do not remember the name nowadays, but there were some offers sometimes that you got some cards with it, so you got multiple cards, even though they ordered only one or something like that, one expensive. And there I got my first mercenary, and it was in Korean, so I really had to look up which card it could be. And yeah, I then bought me a mercenary deck. This was the first big investment in Magic because Cabal Coffers was, I think, 11 euros for a land, and it was a little bit insane of mine.
Yeah,
but
that's still crazy.
in this period of time, I played with sleeves, so I could sell my Cabal Coffers to my LGS a few years later for, I think, 15 euros or something like that. So that was good investment.
Just for our listeners, we price checked the Cabal Coffers before we started recording, and it sits now at about 25 to 30 euros a piece, and that's
crazy.
just insane.
It can be reprinted, and I think it should be reprinted because it's needed for Commander players, but who the fuck plays Commander? No.
There's a big community for Commander.
No, there's definitely a big community. Unfortunately, the format is nothing for me.
Yeah.
Not really. I'm way too competitive. I hate politics in games. I really hate it. So I
can't fathom shuffling 100 cards, double sleeved with hard inner sleeves. I have very big hands. some things are just not humanly possible.
You know what big hands say. So yeah, this was my casual period of time. Then from time to time, I think once or maybe twice a year, I went to one LGS in Linz to draft. I think my first draft was in the M set that had Remasuris.
M14?
M14. And I think one before that was M13. There was the Chase that I don't think it was memory adapt.
Belerian?
Chase Belerian it could be.
Yeah.
M30? Or M12?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
It was basically the first chase.
Chase Belerian was the first chase. Yeah?
No,
First
not the
chase,
first Chase. It was later.
Okay, yeah. Architect of Thought.
No, I don't think it was
Architect of Thought was in
No, it was later on.
in Ravnica. think.
Yeah,
Then
should be Ravnica.
or
Because this
there's this 5-model chase also. Do you
yeah,
mean
there's the memory depth.
that's the one, yeah.
But I don't think it was the memory. Or
No, we're just looking it up.
Uh-huh.
Memory depth was M14, yeah?
wait, maybe there is one down there, or is this every chase?
Oh, Living Guild Pact, maybe?
Could-
It's M15.
Yeah, it could be Living Guild Pact. Because a friend of
So-
mine opened it in a draft, and
So
he
many
thought he
chases.
could get the card if he picked it in draft.
Yeah.
But it was rare pick, and he got 0-3'd, so he wasn't able to get his chase back.
Okay.
And I went 2-1, and I really enjoyed the experience playing a little bit competitively Magic. And a few years later on, I then finished school and started with my military service. And with the military service, I now got 350 euros a month, and this was so much for a student. And and with that, I started drafting regularly. I think I started drafting with Battle for Zendika, and up to Kaladesh, I started a little bit out with Standard and Modern. I first dipped nearly into Modern with a deck it was a Brain of Char deck. But
It was before the rules changed.
yeah, before the rules change. And if the rules changes were 2 weeks later, I maybe never have gotten into competitive Magic and Legacy. Because if I buy a whole deck and then the rules get changed so that I can't use the deck anymore, it would have been disastrous. It was the deck that utilized Brain in a Jar with back call and then
All the fuse spells.
and another fuse spell that milled 8 cards and you put a
You
permanent
mean
on the battlefield.
the combined?
Break
Yeah.
entering.
Break entering and
Okay.
back call.
You
were
mean
cards.
the rule change where they changed the
That it's the whole CMC of the
it's
cards if
it's
you want
the
to cast it.
combined mana cost. Yeah.
Because beforehand you could activate Brain in a Jar with 2 counters on it, and then you cast back call, which means
Yeah.
you get 4 tokens and drew 4
Yeah.
cards, and
Yeah.
then you win the game basically.
Which is
Um,
no, never,
yeah,
not
but-
possible. Yeah.
Then I got Battle in Kaladesh into Standard, and then shortly after into Modern. In Standard, I played the blue-red control deck that utilized Dynavolt Tower, if you remember correctly.
Yeah.
And then I started playing Modern. I looked up some Grixis Devil lists because I really liked that one, but it was a little bit too expensive, and a friend of mine showed me some blue-red Delver lists he played before. And yeah, I basically played fetchless blue-red Delver later on. And then I've sold my
With Spire Bluff Canal.
with Spire Bluff Kennel because I had it from Standards. And then I sold my the green artifact creatures that entered the battlefield, the big Snapcaster mages, how are they called?
The green one.
No,
Green one?
the
Red
the
one.
blue one. The
The
blue one.
torrential Gearhawk.
Torrential Gearhawk. Then I sold my place at Torrential Gearhawk and some other stuff. Torrential Gearhawk was 20 euros back in the days.
Yes, it was quite
And-
expensive. Yeah.
And I sold the Gearhawks and some other stuff for 120 euros and bought me 3 Snapcaster mages.
Wow, that's great. Yeah.
That was a really, really good deal back in the days. And then I started playing Grixis Delver. And with Blue Red Delver, I first started playing in the Austrian Modern Series. I nearly top 8'd my first event I went in. I went to start 3-0 with playing Blue Red Delver with a single
That's all in modern
breeding
now,
pool.
yeah.
All in modern with a breeding pool. It was the era where Borgers were the best deck, and I played one Back to Nature in the sideboard because
Perfect, yeah.
because of Borgers. Then I got, sorry for the expression, fucked up a chant because this matchup is so bad.
My heart is now lightning. But
Blue Red Delver is
it's a win.
it's a win. I
vampire,
kept 7, he
buyer.
kept 7. He played discard on turn 1 because he was on the play, removal on turn 2. Liliana sacked the next creature I played, and then I did nothing.
Yeah,
I did nothing.
of course, yeah.
And
That's crazy.
it was
Chant
a quick
things.
0-2.
Yeah.
Then I went 3-1. Then I played against a friend of mine with, I think it was Grixis Shadow. And this is a really, really close match. I only lost 1-2, but I was out of top 8. And it was prizes for top 16, and then I played in the last round against Boggles. And I won the match. Game 1 I won on 1 life. And I think maybe game 2 I lost, and game 3 he attacked with a core with 3 or 4 enchantments on it. I had 4 mana open, and I touched my beard and 2 mana. Back to nature. Okay. And then I 2 mana Snapcaster Mage. Blocked this 0-2. Then I got in for a few points of damage every round, and then he was able to rebuild. And then I went Snapcaster Mage.
Back to nature.
Target back to nature. And he got crushed. Crushed.
Let me guess, he was so salty.
Yeah. Because who the fuck plays back to nature in the blue red Delver list?
I have to admit, I played Back to Nature at one point in Chant inside mode.
Yeah.
To combat
Boggers.
yeah.
I mean, it's if the
was a meta call.
if the meta forces you to do that, you have to adapt to it, and that's a good point. And that was the first thing I got introduced into playing weird sideboard cards. And yeah, in the same year on Christmas in 2017 it was, I started playing Legacy with Blue Red Delver. Because I played Blue Red Delver in Modern, and then I get to play the same deck in Legacy too.
Yeah.
And this was only up to one guy. He's sitting across me. This was Philipp. And yeah, then I played Blue Red Delver, I think for 1 or maybe 2 FNMs. And then I heard about one great list or one great card I have to play. And then I started playing Blue Red Stifle Knot.
The great card was Stifle or Dreadnought?
I think it was Dreadnought.
Yeah, okay.
But
I think it was Fling.
Fling
no, Fling was introduced, I think half a year later by myself.
Okay.
Or no, a few months later. But yeah, I then started playing Blue Red Stifle Knot and had some okay success in the Austrian Legacy series, and I really enjoyed the deck. Then I tried some different cards with it, because You have the Vision Charm, you have Stifle, you have the 2 mana, one with split second. Trick Bind. And I think in the later versions I only played 4 Stifle and 2 Fling with it. Because I experienced that most of the time if I get the Delver down, I put him to 15 or something like that. If I just attack once or to 13 or 12, and my deck plays bolts, and with bolt and the flinged Stifle Knot or Fling Knot, you win.
It was Fling Knot at the end,
And there is one particularly game I played on stream at, I think it was a summer finals from our Linz Legacy League, or a winter end tournament.
I'm not sure actually.
And I played versus Gobos in the quarterfinals.
Okay.
And there
could be, yeah.
And there I flinked my opponent down from 15, I think.
With 2 fling knots?
No, I think it was a True Name Nemesis attack and a flinked Stifle Knot.
Okay,
he was at 15, my True Name Nemesis came through, and then I flinked him a Dreadnought into the face.
Okay.
And this was really enjoyable. Then this was all 2018. In 2019 I started playing Mannerless Stretch. I went to a few tournaments, and one of the first was in Vienna, where I nearly got second playing the tournament. It was amazing. It was the best meta call I made, because this tournament was full of blue soup decks, and it's, for me it was pretty clear. Everyone wants to feel smart when playing Legacy or playing Magic in general, and one thing you do is playing blue decks in Legacy. And so I decided to play Mannerless Stretch in that deck in the tournament. And first round, Miracles, bye. Second round, Blue Red Delver. This was the version with 4 times the sorcery that gets exiled when you mill it.
Creeping Chill?
With Creeping Chill. So with Creeping Chill, it's a bye.
It's a bye, yeah.
Then I played against Blue Black Shadow. This is actually a really, really hard matchup. But I won in 2-1, I think. Because the problem with Blue Black Shadow is not that he plays Surgical Extraction. You really don't care about Surgical Extraction. The most problematic card he plays is actually Reanimate. Because he plays discard spells, which elongated the time you are getting to discard a card from your hand by 1. And then he plays Reanimate, which does the same thing. So he simply can time walk you 3 or 4 times a match, and if that isn't enough, he really shouldn't keep the hand. Then I don't remember the other matches, but I crushed 4 color loam.
Okay, really? You crushed 4 color loam.
Yeah, I went to win 2-0. In the last round of Swiss.
Okay.
It's
that's an achievement with Mannerless Stretch, actually.
He was one turn too slow with the Knight of the Reliquary in game 1, and in game 2 he wrongly tapped his lands because he tapped the Wasteland he had, and then I got the Contagion and Knight of the Reliquary. And that should not happen. And with that I won that game. And then I went into top 8 as the number 1 seed with a 4-0-1 line. Then I won against Eldrazi Stumpy. It was one epic match because game 1 is a bye for me. Game 2 he had the Leyland in the first 7. This was all pre-London Mulligan.
So Vancouver Mal, yeah.
The Vancouver Mulligan. So he drew his hand of 7. He mulliganed. He drew his land of 6. He mulliganed. He drew his land of 5. He mulliganed. He drew his land of 4. He mulliganed. And then I said, now you show every card. So he he showed the top 3 cards, no lane. The top 2 cards, no lane. And then I flipped the next card after shuffling, no lane, so I won the match. So it was insane. Then the
gentleman's agreement.
And my opponent actually went on to go 9-0 in a GP last year.
Okay.
But I don't remember his name. I think it was what was the nearest GP? Prague?
Birmingham?
No, last year.
Last year, Bologna?
Bologna, yeah, there was Bologna.
No, it wasn't Bologna. It was no Legacy. I think it was a modern GP.
Okay, it was modern.
Frankfurt. Oh, GP.
GP. I think. Is there a GP in Prague? I think so.
Yeah, there was a GP in Prague, but I think it was 215.
Not last year. Yeah, definitely not last year.
Okay,
2016 there was also GP.
I'm sure he went 9-0 last year.
Okay.
Because I saw his face on Channel 5.
Okay.
And
I can also remember. I think it was the same guy. Won the winner in during the Legacy finals last year. He played Eldrazi, Bloodsun, Stompy.
Yeah, it could be. Because
Punishing Eldrazi, yeah. I think I don't have the name actually now.
Yeah, but yeah.
I need to Google it.
Then there was the top 4 match again, a rematch against Blue Black Shadow, and then there was one hell of a match in the finals against Death in Texas with main deck Containment Priest. So yeah, and
That's tough.
he even had a really slow opening in game 1.
Yeah.
But my dredges were that bad. After hitting nothing for I think 3 or 4 turns, he then got his recruiter into Containment Priest and played the priest. And game 2 I had kept a hand with I think 3 answer spells for him. But he went Rest in Peace into Containment Priest. No, he went Containment Priest into Rest in Peace, and I think I couldn't counter the second one or the third one or something like that. It was just insane. So yeah, I got second. In the same year, I then went on to play my first big event in Barcelona. I traveled with a few friends of mine.
Which event?
It was Card Market Series.
Card Market Series, yeah.
There I participated in the Modern portion and the Legacy portion. In Modern, I got the 6-2. Tristan Pölzl. Or is
Christian Kölbel.
Christian Kölbel, yeah.
Yeah, he was the guy who got 9-0 in the GP Bologna.
Okay, it was GP Bologna.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so he played Legacy. So he's
also Punishing Eldrazi.
yeah, he's one of the better players from Austria. I think so.
Yeah, I also think so, yeah.
Yeah, I played in Barcelona. I got 6-2 in Modern and a 2-5 drop in Legacy. I really learned about hard practice is needed for a big tournament and good sleep and much more. Because in Modern I was really prepared. I played multiple leagues online. I played a lot. I played a few FNMs with that specific list. I prepared for the meta, made good meta calls, even though I haven't faced Chant. But this was the meta was there. I think it was a little bit under 12 or 15% Chant in Barcelona. It was after printing of Ren 6.
Oh yeah.
So Chant was really big in
so
the time.
Strong. It's amazing,
And I played a list that prayed on Chant, even though I did not play Veil of Summer. So I went to get on a 6-2, but unfortunately my breakers were too bad, so I wasn't getting any money.
Okay.
With a 7-1 you would have gotten into top 8. With a 6-2 you could even drop out of prizes. So it was because the 9th to the 21st all had 6-2.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, but nevertheless an awesome tournament. I played against Andreas Rehling and not crushed him, but won against him. He was playing Dredge. On the next day, we played our rematch in Legacy.
Yeah, okay.
And now he played Storm and I played Dredge.
Funny coincidence.
I borrowed the Dredge list from Philipp, and I prepared a few days with the list, but it was really different to every deck I played up to the day, because normally I play decks like Blue Red Delver, or Manala's Dredge has nearly no keep or mal decision, but Blue Red Delver or even Storm, these are cards where you keep because you have card draw spells, or you have one creature and a lot of card draw spells. It's just the simple. If you learn Magic, you keep every hand where you have three or four lands and 3 or 4 creatures or sorceries. Yeah. It's just as simple if you start with Magic. And Lead Dredge is really different because it's a combo deck. You have to move for combo. You have to play aggressively. I'm not really the guy that plays aggressively. I now try because I'm currently trying out Ice Station Zebra and stuff like that. So with really hard mulligan decisions. And if you don't mull well with Dredge, you play another deck.
Yeah, you have to jam and go for it.
Yeah, and I'm not the guy that wants to play in every turn 1 Philosophill and stuff like that. And so Dredge was, it was a good meta call. It was good in the meta, but it wasn't the deck for me, and that was one of the big things I've learned in this tournament.
Yeah, also, especially in Legacy, I think preparation is the key.
Yeah.
It's
preparation, knowledge of the meta, and especially of your own deck.
And how's the word?
Snapboarding.
No. If you try something all the time.
Try out.
No,
if you play the same everything. No.
If you
say the German word, we can help you. Maybe. Or even not.
You need some routine in your deck.
Yeah, definitely.
All the time. You make really good decisions when you play the same deck over and over and over and over again. You can just get so many percentage points out of your deck, even if it's not tier 1.
Yeah.
So, especially in Legacy.
Because
preparing for a big event.
Especially in Legacy, there are so many interesting and different interactions that you just have to learn and know.
Yeah, you have to experience it one time so that you know it. Yeah. Just like, let's say, wastelanding his opposing Dark Depths if he has 2 mana available in the first time stage out, or something like that. Yeah, just
a simple example.
As simple as that.
Yeah.
Or forcing an abrupt decay or something like that.
Yeah. That's
read the card, explains the card.
That's a different example.
But,
have you ever forced an abrupt decay?
I never did.
I think I never did. Yeah. But I saw a spot of one player maybe.
Maybe to get a Pyromancer token, or to, I don't know, increase the spell count in the graveyard for some weird deck I played. I don't know.
Yeah, one thing is for manaless strategies to really remember how to stack your triggers, because on Modo it's really easy to play manaless stretch because you click on
the phases
on the
triggers
on the triggers and stack them. And if you play in paper, you have to remember in a turn, let's say 12 to 15 triggers, you have to stack them correctly, because I don't know how's the 1/1 called.
Nether Shadow.
The Nether Shadow, because you have to stack the Nether Shadow first on the stack so that he gets out. You have to put him last on the stack so that he gets first out, because you need the creatures above. if you have Icarids above the Nether Shadow, it is important that the Icarids are still in the graveyard when the trigger of Nether Shadow resolves.
Yeah.
And some stuff like that. And another thing is learning that you can put the dredge cards in an order as you like for Manaless Dredge, for example, because you always want to put the Nether Shadow on the bottom, because he has to have a few creatures on top. And that's something Manaless Dredge really learned me, that I have to organize my graveyard, that I have to really look into it, and that I have to remember a lot of stuff. And I think that's some good thing about some mid-range deck that doesn't really have anything in common with any other deck.
Yeah, that's
and it's
true.
a mid-range deck and nothing more.
Mid-range deck with combo finish.
It's a mid-range deck with a combo finish. And yeah, then I'm back there at Orlov. I was in China with a knowledge transfer project from a company, and then I got to experience the biggest legacy tournament in China. I was participating in the 2019 Orlov Legacy tournament.
Isn't it even the biggest in Asia? I don't know if the KMCs are bigger, but...
I mean, this tournament unfortunately only had 100 people.
Okay.
But the prize pool was amazing. I think it was between $8,000 and $10,000.
Yeah, the prize pool.
The prize pool was immense. And yeah, there I got to meet Julian and James. And yeah, the tournament was okay for me. I played Manaless Dredge, but mostly played against combo decks. So I think the meta call was okay because it is good against Struck Delva, but I only played against Food Chain, Depths. No, it was not Food Chain, it was Alluran. Because
But with depth?
no.
Oh, okay.
I played, the first round was the Hugak Depths list.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The old ones. Then I played against
Is this deck a thing now? I always ask myself that
Hugak
question. Hugak depth, yeah.
I'm not sure.
I think it could be okay now because there are less Caracas running around. In the Lurus and Uran era, you couldn't play it because of all the Caracas. There were one to two Caracas in every main deck.
I haven't seen it in a long time, but when I look at the challenges or the league list, I always see Turbo Depths, BG Depths, and Bug and Chunt Hogak, but never Hogak Depths.
I think it could definitely have a spot.
Maybe some space to explore for our listeners.
Definitely. And yeah, this was my biggest tournament up to date, I would say, from prize pool perspective and from an experience perspective, because it was just so amazing seeing great players perform.
That was the reason why you weren't in Prague last year?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was unfortunately, I think, in October.
Prague was November.
Or November. Yeah, and this was the time period I was in China.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was really amazing training them, talking about legacy and mostly other stuff. But yeah, enjoying the time there, playing, unfortunately not in day 2, but playing the casual event on day 2 and finishing 4-1. And yeah, it was an amazing experience playing in another country. So it was the same with playing in Barcelona. It's just amazing traveling with friends into another country, playing some legacy or Magic in general.
Also meeting some really, really great players.
Yeah,
along
great
the road
players, great content creators.
And great content creators, yeah.
I mean,
so
it applies to them both. Both perspectives. And yeah, I met Yiget too. He went on to finish 3rd after top 8ing the last Orlov in 2018 with Tin Fins. I'm currently trying out his list
Yeah, I love all the Tin Fins variants. These are just so great.
Yeah, Tin Fins is... And with that deck, I'm trying to learn how to mulligan correctly with combo decks, which is, I think, a big thing I have to learn if I want to move on with Magic in general.
The next click.
Yeah, mulliganing is something I haven't really learned. I have to analyze in depth every other deck and how my deck wants to play against the deck. This is something I really enjoy about the Epic Storm, the websites, the mulligans decisions from Brian Cook. For combo decks. He shows a specific matchup, and about that matchups he lists you I think 10 starting hands or even mulligans, and then explains, so you have to decide for yourself, do I want to keep the hand or do I want to mulligan the hand? And then he shows you what to do, and I think this is really good content from him.
Yeah,
it's amazing. And yeah, that's basically my path about Magic.
Your
and
path to legacy.
And then I have to just
answer the question
from Gina, that we can end this really lengthy episode.
But this question is very important for us.
Yeah, and because it's so important, I cannot decide on one card.
Really?
I decided to say one card for one era.
Okay, yeah.
So I decided that for my casual era before starting drafting and starting competitive Magic is Hearthstone. It's
not the game, it's a card.
It's not the game, it's the card.
So let us look it up what it does. Actually, I don't know at the moment. It's an artifact
for 2 generic mana.
So you know it off your head. Okay.
And
I think it costs 3, right?
Or no, it costs 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so
it reduces wow, wine is strong within me.
The wine is strong with you.
You forgot.
Is it Hearthstone or Hearthstone?
Oh, Hearthstone.
Hearthstone.
Okay. It's just an artifact for 3 generic mana, and says activated abilities of creatures cost 1 less to activate. This effect cannot reduce the mana in the cost to less than 1 mana. It's just a bad training grounds.
The original training grounds.
Or the original training grounds. And this was the card I played in my mercenary deck.
Okay.
Then I have to admit that my next card I would favor the most is for my starting era with Modern and Legacy in general. And this is Scapman Berserker. I played in every sideboard of every blue-red and especially red deck I played. And then I have to say the card that accomplished the most for me in my Magic career up to date is Delver of Secrets in both Modern and Legacy, because I played Delver most of the time. I played Magic competitively.
Who would have known that a little 1 mana 3/2 flyer
and
would have made such an impact?
And one thing I have to say, the only 4 creatures I played in the mono blue Elixir of Immortality control deck I played were Delver of Secrets. So they went from being the first creatures I played in a self-constructed Magic deck to the most influential Magic card in my Magic competitive period. So I think
it's a nice story.
Delver of Secrets holds a good secret. So yeah. So this was a small episode where we introduced ourselves, Daniel.
Maybe a little bit too long, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So yeah,
more content is more content.
even if it's a long episode, we hope you had fun and you enjoy us here talking about our
history.
Our history, yeah. And I think we wrap it up here.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next time.
Next time.
Or we hear you next time. Or you hear us next time, because we can't really hear you. Listen. Okay, in response, the end.